This is going to go over an introduction to sculpting in Maya. And sculpting is the manipulation of vertices using brushes. Before I tackle this character, let's do a simpler object such as this sphere. And go to Mesh Tools and select Sculpting and click right here to break off this palette. Pick up the Sculpt tool and this object is selected. Now this is the brush size. To control the brush size, hold down the B key and drag left and right with the left mouse button selected. Drag left and right to increase and decrease the brush size. If you don't see your brush because it's so big it's off the screen, you can zoom out and then you'll find it and then make it smaller. Now that line pointing straight up is the magnitude, the power of the brush. Hold down the M key and left mouse button and drag up and down to control the power. Another way to access that information is to double click this icon right here within the toolbar for the tool settings for this brush, and you can increase and decrease the strength and the size of the brush. First one is to pick Sculpt, and with Sculpt, pull out the surface. Now, if you want the opposite effect, just hold down the Shift key and push the vertices back in. Remember, this operates on the vertex level. Smooth tool will just glide across the surface, looking to smooth out any rough areas of the surface. Holding down the Shift key with the smooth will push it in. The relax tool, let's find a good area. I'm going to orbit around this object. And running the relax here, see it's not distorting the object on a great level. It's not pulling or pushing. It's just using this brush will migrate the vertices to kind of redistribute them along its edge. While the smooth, again, you can see that it's a lot more destructive to the model. Grab will increase the brush size. We'll select a bunch of vertices, so you can think about grab as a soft selection and just pull out those vertices. Object. And flatten is sometimes very useful when you're trying to put mechanical models together, something that's hard surface. You'll create this flat edge on it. Like taking your palm on a piece of clay and just pushing it into the surface. Brief tip on using the freeze tool. With the freeze tool selected, you are masking out an area to be protected. Now, if you happen to do a little too much, you need to remove from that selection, hold down the Control key, and just brush back over. So if you're just focused in on this area in the center, Control key again, erase, going around the model, Control key, erase. Going to paint up the feet by, still with the freeze tool, just selecting the feet. And let's say the upper legs as well. And then you can bulge out. Now symmetry's not turned on. Let me turn on symmetry along the x-axis. There we go. That's how you can mask out an area, and I can use the smooth to smooth it back in as needed. And when you're all done, press the Shift U key, and that unfreezes the whole model. If you didn't create this object, or as you create it with symmetry in mind, or as you created the object, symmetry somehow disappeared, and you'll know if symmetry is happening if you, let's say you pick this center point and you'll see a little yellow message down here, mesh is not symmetrical. That's a quick way to tell. To make your model quickly symmetrical, though not perfect for UVs, and so you should do this earlier on, go to the object level and go under Mesh, Mirror, and open up the Properties box right here. Now I know this is the x-axis from the way I set up the model, so I know I want to flip along the negative axis. Flip this side to this side, or the positive x, flip this side or this side. If I want positive, I would select it from like that. Negative is fine. Click Apply. I'll drag this over here. Now, as I said, this isn't good to do after you've done your texture mapping. This is a step you would do before. If you're happy with this, just go to Edit, Delete by Type History, or click this button, and now you'll have that mirroring point. And I know it's there because if I go to Topology right there, and I select that line in the center, right there, everything's good again. And when I say good again, if I go to Vertex, nothing to do with sculpting, I select vertices on this side, they're selected on that side as well. So it's always good to have some type of symmetry, whether it's through selecting or pinning up your object, or in this case, sculpting your object. So if you want to do variations of your character, that's where this comes in handy. You have this character, but now you want a character that looks slightly different because you're trying to make a bunch of them to fill out a universe, to fill out the universe of your scene. Let me select this one again and go to, I'm going to start with smooth. My brush is pretty big. B key smaller, like this, and M for magnitude, decreasing magnitude. You can see where, since I have a texture, it's pretty easy to visualize as I rub across the surface of this character. It's deforming it. And if I rotate it around, you can see that these two characters are similar yet different. And this is a cool way, easy way to make variations on your models. Duplicate this one again, holding down the Shift key and dragging it over. And this one, maybe I want to puff out a little bit. I don't want the head to be affected, so I'll pick up the freeze tool and up on the head, I'll freeze the head like this. I'll make the brush smaller, making sure the ears are done. Okay, now I'm going to just bulge out the rest of this character, and I'll pick up the bulge tool, increase the size, and I'll just bulge my character. Maybe that was a little too much. Pick up the smooth tool, and I'll smooth that backwards. So you're usually working with one tool to start with, and then you're picking up another tool to refine it, and then you go back and forth. Yet another variation of this character. As an artist, experiment with sculpting and see if or where it fits into your creative workflow.